Hi, this is Elvira from Scrappy Mania, and today I want to show you how to create these lovely roses or flowers, however you want to call it. And actually, I'm using the papers that I deacidified. So if you want to look at my tutorial how you take regular newspaper and you deacidify it with a solution of club soda and milk of magnesium. So you put 2 tablespoons of milk of magnesium per 1 quart of club soda, and you let it refrigerate that mixture overnight. Then the next day you soak all your papers with that mixture for at least an hour, and you can dry it. You dry your paper afterwards, and you can do whatever you want to do with it. And I painted mine. Now I haven't received my pen, so in that tutorial I did mention that I just ordered a pH tester. So it's a pen that you can purchase that you just put on the paper, and you can see if your paper is neutral or not, less acidic. So I haven't received my pen, so I'm not sure these are truly acid free or not after my treatment, but I'll let you know and I'll keep you updated as soon as I get my pen. Anyhow, I decided to make some flowers with what I have, and I decided to kind of paint mine ahead of time. And I did put a little bit of decoupage. So I took some of my decoupage, homemade decoupage, which is just half and half. So it's 1 part glue, 1 part water. And I just put that on the flowers prior to putting the paint. And then I took some white acrylic paint and I really diluted it. So I made like a wash of it. And then I let it dry. So that's how it has this kind of whitewash on it. And it does have some decoupage just to give it a little more stability. And that's how I created this flower. So see how cute this flower is. So let me show you how I did it. Now I am using some wire, so you're going to need some wire, and you're going to need a tiny little bead to string in your wire. So here's my tiny little bead, and it's just mainly so that way you can have something to hold your flower while you kind of you form it. Okay, so you're going to take your little bead, and then you're going to need some flower punch. Now I do have a McGill punch, so any kind of flower punch you can use. So I used this one for one of the for the rose to make the little bud, and also I'm using this Tim Holtz. So you're going to need 2 of the large Tim Holtz die flowers. You're going to need 2 of the smallest Tim Holtz flowers. You're going to need only 1 of this kind of daisy flower, and then another one of this 6-petal flower, and it's the alteration die and it's the Tatter Florals from Tim Holtz. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Of course, you're gonna need some kind of wire. Okay, so you're gonna take your bead and you're gonna bead it in, and then fold it in half. And I twist it just a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. Then I create something that you see like that. Okay. So now I'm going to take the smallest Tim Holtz. These are the small Tim Holtz flowers, and I am just gonna bend the petals inward. So you decide which side of the paper you want up or down. I think I'll have this one inside, and this will be the side that you will see. And then you're going to take your wire and you're just going to insert it. Because this is newsprint, it's very easy to insert your wire. You're going to need some hot glue, and I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue in the center, and then I'm going to push it up to close my bud. Okay, and then just put each of the petals You're just going to crunch it up like this. Okay, just crunch it up and then put a little bit of adhesive in the center to maintain it, to kind of close the petals and hold it. Yep. Once you have that, then you're going to take a pair of tweezers and just give it some form. And see how it's opening up here? I'm just going to put a little more glue on there and then open the petal outward. Okay. So there I fold my bud. Now I'm going to take the next one. Insert it in. Okay. And before you insert it, you kind of will bend your petals inward. But I didn't do that before. But you still have opportunity to kind of bend your petals inward a little bit. Then you're going to pull it up. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive in the center just so it will stabilize the flower. And then again, you're going to form a bud. So you're just going to scrunch it together, putting a little bit of adhesive on the ends. And actually, I pulled it apart too much. See how it got pulled apart? So you got to be careful not to do that. But we can still salvage this rose. You can still salvage it. If it comes apart like I did there, you can easily fix it. Okay? So there's your bud. Now the next flower is going to be this, so we're going to go ahead and cut it a little bit. Make a little bit of slits. And then you're going to crinkle it. See how I kind of crinkle it backwards a little. Put my index finger right around where the petal is and just scrunch with my with my thumb and my index finger from the opposite hand. And see how I just scrunch it? Because our wire fell, we're going to have to just put this in the center and then scrunch it up. And I like to use I like it with the wire better because it's a lot easier to form. But if this happens, I'm just showing you what you can do. You can still salvage the flower like I'm doing here. Just need to hold it in between your index and thumb as you form the flower. Okay, so there's my next bud. My next flower is going to be the next size within that rose Tim Holt die. Again, you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to scrunch up the petals. Each individual petal, you're just going to scrunch it up like so. Okay, you can even scrunch up the flower a little bit. Put glue in the center. Put your bud right there on the center of that flower. And then put some glue on the bottom of that of the last flower that you put in there, and push it up. See how I push it up? You do the same thing over here. And there's that flower. Okay. Now the next flower we're going to use is this one. Put a glob of glue in the center. Place this one. And then you're going to scrunch up the petals. It looks something like that. And you can put another one. See how pretty that will look also if you just take another one and do, so that's a different flower. See how you can change up the look. Same technique, just depending on what kind of flower you use for your layers will make your rose look a little different. Okay, so it's going to make it different than this one. And actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and create this one with the extra daisy. I'm changing things up on ya, but I kind of like that look. And then see how there's a little gap here? I would take another daisy. Scrunch it up a little bit. And then fill in the gap, my gaps that I have right there. And let me make sure. Sometimes if you take your tweezers, you can easily position it a little better. Okay. So there's that flower. So see how different that flower is actually looking from this flower? Just by changing the petals. Okay, so now let me go ahead and show you. Where did I put that? Here it is. Let me show you the one that I created before. So I'm going to get another one. So one of these, and two of the little Tim Holtz flowers. So one. I just went ahead and cut a bunch of these flowers, and usually that's what I do. I create tons and tons of these flowers, and I use them for my projects, or I give them away to my mother-in-law. She likes to make cards, so I kind of give her a lot of my flowers. Okay, so now let's do it again. So I got one of these McGill, one daisy, two of the large flowers from your Tim Holt, so two of these, and two of the smallest one from Tim Holt. And I'm ready to go. So let's start this again. I'm gonna go ahead and crinkle my petals. Okay. And see this one, this flower, I did not put decoupage before I painted it, and this one I did. And you can feel the difference. This one feels thicker. It feels more sturdier. This one feels very fragile. So decoupage it would be good to place if you're using the same newspaper like I did, and you do the same treatment, because when you do the treatment when you soak it in that solution to deacidify your paper, it changes a little bit the texture of the paper, and it makes it a little more delicate or more brittle. So the decoupage helps a lot. And then this time I'm not going to push up as much as I was doing before, and actually I'm going to go ahead and put some glue at the bottom there, just to make sure that I don't do it again. I'm going to place my other one. Well, actually, no. So there. So now that I put that glue on the bottom, hopefully I will not rip through the bead. So then you're going to cuff it up and create your bud. And see how you cuff it up and create your bud. Put a little bit of adhesive to keep the buds in, formed. And see here, I open it up a little bit, put a little adhesive, not too much, and don't pull on this flower too much. Okay, now we're ready. So now we have a bud, and if you want to take your tweezers and kind of pull your petals outward, you can. And it looks something like that. Now we're going to take the next one. Okay, push it up, put a little bit of adhesive on the ends, and then pull it up, carefully pull it up, so that way you don't pull this all the way through. Cuff up your each individual petal, and then place a little bit of adhesive at the bottom of the first bud and kind of bring the next set of petals closer to that bud, like you see here. Oops. And in the meantime, you know, usually what I do is I like to like glue one side. So I put a little bit of glue that one side up, and then turn the opposite side of that petal down. Do the same thing here. See how it's kind of one side is glued, the other side is kind of down. And here the same thing. I'll do the same thing here. See there? I'm going to put a little bit of glue. And then bring this one down. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue right there, just a tiny tad of glue. Bring that side up, and then kind of bring your petals down a little. And it forms something like that. See how it looks? Hopefully so you can focus. Okay. Now I'm ready for this next flower with my McGill 6-petal flower. And you're just going to make slits. Now this one is a little, I call it a little fat flower, because you really don't have a distinction or a real between each petal. They kind of get they're like fused together, all the petals, and that's why you have to open them up. But if you have another type of 6-petal die or even 5-petal die that it's a little skinnier like this one, that you don't have to create the slits, because that one, it actually the slits are it's closer to the center. So you don't have to do it. It's only these that don't have that real rigid towards the center that you need to cut. Okay. And actually this one, we're going to fold the petal backwards. Now you're going to take this flower and you're just going to insert it in the middle. Put a little bit of adhesive at the bottom of your bud and pull it up. And see, that's why I like using the wire, because I can pull it close together and it forms the flower a lot easier. And then I'm not flattening the tops, because like this one, if you notice the tops are a little flatter, because I have to hold it between my index and thumb in order to kind of put all the petals together, and that flattens out my flower. This one, if you notice, is not that flat. It's nice, and it has a more dimension. It's because I don't have to do that, because I have leverage with the wire, and that's why I don't have to kind of touch the tops at all. So it's up to you. Both method works. If you want to use wire, you can, or you can just do like the first one that I showed you, just without the wire, just hold it between your fingers. And see, I want to make it a little closer than what it is. It's not as close as I like it. So in order to close my flowers, I put glue on the bottom at the inside edge of the flower, and then pull it up, and that's what creates something like that. Very nice. And see here, it's kind of open. So if I want to close that, I just put some glue at the bottom, not too much, and then bring it up. And then just work it. And see, now I like that. I'm ready for my next flower, which is this one. It's the daisy. And just crinkle the edges. You can see there. Okay. Put a little bit of glue. And I don't know about you, I like creating my own flowers. You notice I don't really buy flowers, pre-made flowers. I like to create my own because I like using my scraps, and flowers is the best way to use, I feel, is the best way to use your scraps is by creating tons of flowers. So now I'm ready for this one, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to crinkle the edges, like you see here. Okay, I'm going to put my wire in the center of the flower. I'm going to put some glue at the bottom of my last flower that I placed there, and then pull it up. And then the last petal, I'm going to crinkle it. And you can crinkle the flower if you want. Just carefully, you want to scrunch it together. And then before I glue it, I want to make sure that I alternate the petals, because see how if I don't alternate it and I just glue the next flower right exactly underneath the last one, it doesn't look full. It looks like it's missing some petals. But see, by just alternating, see how different that flower looks? It looks fuller. And then I just put glue. I just open the flower and just put glue in the center, and that's it. And there's my flower. So see, this is one flower, this is the other flower, just like that one. See how pretty that looks? And then this is the flower with just the two daisies. And see how different, and look how beautiful those will look in a layout. Putting some of these, some of that. You can also create just simple buds. Like this one, it just has buds and some of the medium-sized flower, and see how nice that would look. A little bouquet of different types of flowers. So try making your flowers. I hope you like the tutorial, and try making your flower with the different petals. Like just create it with the smaller petals and then alternate with the daisy petals. Just maybe create some that just daisy petals and the mid-side one with maybe a brad in the middle. Or you can create this one that has all of the petals. So I hope you like this video, and I hope I inspire you to create your own little flowers, and thank you for watching. Bye now.